if you've ever had the opportunity to visit one of the Florida, South Carolina, or North Carolina beaches that border the Atlantic Ocean in the summer months, you may have seen areas taped off for the protection of sea turtle hatchlings. Join us at the table as we discuss the endangered species of Loggerhead sea turtles that often grace our southern beaches.
I'm Lainey.
And I'm Laura Beth, and we are Steel Magnolias.
The strength of steel with the grace of a magnolia.
We are here to have uplifting conversations about life in the South.
And we've got plenty of room at our table, so pull up a chair.
Welcome back to another dose of your Southern culture for the week. Hope y'all are having a good week. I want to go ahead and wish my sister a happy birthday. When this episode releases, she will have already celebrated, but so thankful to celebrate another year of your life and all the wonderful things that God's bringing into your life and into our podcast together.
So much.
It's just
goodness.
Good season. So happy birthday, sis.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We also want to give a special shout out to a patron crossing the 1 year mark of supporting us of monthly donations. Thank you so much to Becky of Hurricane, West Virginia. You are amazing.
Yes, we so appreciate you.
Yeah, we hope that you are extra blessed. And if you want to find out how you can get in on the perks and extra content from us, you can visit patreon.com/steelmagnolias, where you can find out what membership level you would like to join us at and all of the sort of swag and gifts that you get back for giving. So thank you, Becky. We appreciate your commitment to us.
Yes, we do.
Okay. It is vacation season. Many of you are vacationing in the very places that we are going to be discussing today. So we thought it was very apropos to talk about Loggerhead sea turtles.
Yeah, so this is the world's largest hard-shelled turtle.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly larger at average in maximum weight than the green sea turtle, which is also huge. And the Galapagos tortoise.
Oh, wow.
So I want to go to the Galapagos Islands
I
sometime.
knew you were going to say that.
Well, I've been fascinated with that area before because they have so many species that are only there. I just think it would be fun to see.
Yeah.
And, I like travel. So, anyhow.
Well, yeah, I mean, large head on these guys, hence the name. And it supports this really powerful jaw and muscles that enable them to
crunch through things
on very hard-shelled prey, like a conch. Like you've seen, you may have seen that on the shoreline before. But yeah, they're chomping through some really hard surfaces.
Once they're big,
yes.
So this is the thing, this is an endangered species. We'll talk about why in a minute. But when they're little, just born, or even those first years that they're getting going, they are prey to a lot of things. Even crabs when they're first born. So it's like, wow. You can see why there would be not many of them that make it to further life.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So the endangerment is the infancy stage, really.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the Atlantic Ocean, the greatest concentration of loggerheads is along that southeastern coast bordering, the Atlantic. Mm-hmm. And it was really fascinating to me that I looked up on a global map of where the concentration of these loggerheads are born.
Okay.
And second, from that Atlantic coastline, was Japan. So I'm like, this is just really interesting. There's other places too, but those were the top two.
So it jumps from here to Japan. That seems weird.
And so I just think that's pretty cool that God gave us these creatures to
that we get
be
to
born on our beaches.
Yes. Yeah.
So anyhow,
sorry, go ahead.
No, well, the mothers will lay these hatchlings in the sand. So this is something that's unique, is they only come ashore once they're adult,
Yes.
the adult mothers, to lay the eggs.
Yes.
Other than that,
They're out.
they're out.
Yeah.
They're in the water.
Yeah.
That's where they live, traveling the world.
And this is happening now. May through August is really the time frame of when you're going to see this.
See that, having them lay the
Yeah,
eggs.
yeah.
And I think it's unusual to see one lay in the day. I think they usually lay in the night.
Okay.
I believe that's right. And the incubation is around 80 days.
Okay. So they dig this huge hole, which
Yes.
even that, I'm just like, I really wish without encroaching upon them, I could watch
the
all
whole
of this
thing,
go down.
Right?
This huge hole has to be dug in, like you were saying, a very dry area of the beach. So that has to come pretty close to where you're going to be seeing oceanfront condos and
Exactly.
townhomes
Now, which that didn't used to be an issue.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So here's another reason we're endangered.
Yeah.
That they're endangered.
Yeah. So then they deposit their eggs, right?
And I can't remember the number of eggs they lay. Did you find
Hundreds.
that?
It's like 117, I think,
it's
was the average.
crazy, the
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
But again, that is, it's kind of sad because not even all of them will make it to hatch. 'Cause
Right.
the eggs get eaten by crabs and
Yeah.
seagulls and
Yeah.
all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And then once they do start to hatch, this is so amazing. If you've ever seen, I mean, we'll just have to, maybe in the show notes, we can tell where you can watch some videos or something.
I have a couple of places.
Okay. They just hatch out and they got to dig their way out of that little hole. They got to make their way up out of that big hole
Yes.
and to the water.
Yes.
And that is quite a feat for these little tiny things to do.
So again, can you imagine getting to see these little itty bitties? I have a picture in my head, and I don't know if that's because I've seen a movie or documentary or
Yeah.
something, but I can picture in my head
Totally.
the maiden voyage into the water of just hundreds.
Yeah, and so seagulls are swooping down, crabs are trying to get them, but some of them will make it all the
Yeah.
way to the water and
Yeah.
swim out.
Now, I know we're going to be talking about specific places in a little bit, but I do want to go ahead and say at this point, Edisto Island in South Carolina, they offer nighttime ranger guided walks to try and catch a glimpse of the turtles.
Oh, that's cool. Because I'm sure they do it well where, they make sure you're
Safe.
not messing with
Yes,
them.
at a distance. And
Yes.
yes.
Well, one of the things that so fascinates me about not just loggerhead sea turtles, but a lot of the sea turtles that are born on, I think the green sea turtle is the same in this regard.
They bury on land, do you mean?
They bury on land,
Mm-hmm.
but once they've made it into the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
they're a grown adult, they're traveling the world.
Yes.
When the female 2 to 4 years old, I think, is when they start to then being able to lay.
Okay, yeah.
They go back to their very same beach they were born on.
This blows
to
my
lay
mind.
their eggs.
Blows my mind. So,
It almost makes me want to cry.
So, I want to make sure everyone catches that. So, it's believed that the nest on the beach where they were hatched decades earlier is where they are returning back to now hatch their own.
Yes.
Like it
The
could be
same beach.
decades.
Yes.
It could be a couple of years, but
Some of these,
it could
they're
also
50
be
years
decades.
old. Yeah.
Coming back every time. And so, yes, there's no place like home. But also, that really does show that, well, for one, I think they're a lot more aware probably than I would give a turtle credit for if it understands, because it sounds like they're just kind
Yes. Now, I'm not sure, we're not scientists, so I'm not sure that it's like an actual brain understanding so much as it's like an internal
yeah, that's good. That's a good distinction.
knowing.
Just
Is that
that-
a way to say that?
Yes.
I think they're now proving that this is actually has to do with the magnetic field of the earth.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, that's still God-given.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyhow, so in their because now they can all of this blows my mind too, follow their migration by tagging them, like they'll tag them.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
they can follow the migration pattern, and that's how
Amazing.
they know they come back
Exactly.
to the very same beach, and all of that's so wild. Maybe
Yeah,
I
they're
should
not
have been
just
a marine
they're not just
biologist.
recognizing. I've seen this guy here before. Yeah, he's actually or she, excuse me, has actually been tagged.
Yeah. So, anyhow, I read an article that says it's as if they have an internal compass. And it really kind of made me laugh because I'm like, because they do.
Right.
Like God gave them this internal compass that pulls them. Yes, it's also the Earth's magnetic field, but it's pulling them back to the home base.
Yes.
And that came from an article that I read from National Geographic by Carrie Arnold in 2015.
Wow.
Anyhow.
That's so good. Well, I've seen one of these. I saw one in Poipu, Hawaii.
Poipu.
And I was in a swimming area at the beach. And I don't mean I saw a hatchling. I mean I saw probably a 250-pound loggerhead, which is what they can get up to.
Unreal.
And it was a spectacle. I mean, it was...
Like, did you get pretty close to it?
Yes.
Okay.
This was a lifeguarded beach, which is pretty rare, honestly, in Hawaii. There's a lot of beaches that they don't want you.
Good luck.
They don't want you swimming on because they don't have a lifeguard. You know, so there happened to be a lifeguard, but the lifeguard was not deterring anyone, but was also like pretty mindful of keeping a radius. But everybody was. People were just probably honestly scared to get too close. But I mean, it looked like this massive seal in the water. It was so big.
So it was actually on the shore?
It was in the water. Just in a swimming area.
Because I don't think they come out on the shore much unless they're hatching.
Yeah, no, this was...
I don't think they like to be out on the...
In the swimming area. But yeah, like I thought it was like I don't know what I thought it was. I didn't think it was a turtle. It was
crocodile.
It was so big that I was like, ruled out turtle a long time ago. They are... Massive and beautiful though. Like I was like, I feel like I'm looking at a page of a children's book right now. They just are so unique, and they have that sort of friendliness look about them, even though you know they are. If you got close to that snout,
that jaw,
you know, that
your
jaw,
fingers off.
And then there's also a Loggerhead Key, Florida, which I wanted to mention. They're obviously named for the abundance of loggerhead turtles that are found on the island. And today it is the largest green and loggerhead turtle nesting in the Florida Keys.
Okay, so it's an island. It is
an
island.
Yeah, so they have nearly 15,000 turtles hatch there each summer.
Whoa.
No one lives there. It is...
So here's why.
It's a whole island.
There's a lot of them.
It's a whole island. It's under about 50 acres. I think it was 49 acres in size. Solitary experience because, you know, that's what's needed to keep these going. The ferry does not go there. You'd have to access it by a private boat in order to get there. There might be some scientists that live out there, but
have a base.
That would be it.
Predators. Let's talk about that. Because again, there's so many. So when they're in their egg, worms, beetles, ants, snakes, gulls, possums, bears, rats, skunks, armadillos, cats, like wild cats or wild dogs, even wild pigs. I forget that's on some beaches.
Wow.
Yuck. Can get them. And then again, when they're a little bit bigger or even juvenile, crabs, fish, eels, all kinds of things will eat them when they're still little.
Right.
So, not a lot of them actually make it to where they're big enough to be more protected.
Right.
And
you're talking about not the egg, but the already hatched turtle.
Yeah.
Okay. That's still... Yeah,
it's still an issue when they're just little because
they're just so susceptible.
Their heads and backs are, their little shells are not very big and thick yet, so they're just very susceptible. So another thing that's been an issue with these becoming endangered in times of late is all of the development that's happening. So you mentioned oceanfront condos, homes, all of that have gone up on these beaches, and in these turtles, there's like an internal God-given knowing that when they come out, they need to follow the reflection of the moon that takes them to the water.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what they're looking for is the light, because they usually hatch in the night.
Yes.
Occasionally in the day, but it's usually at night.
Yes.
And so they're looking for that the reflection of the moon's going to take me to the water.
Even that, in my opinion, is God-given, because I'm guessing God knew we would enjoy beaches. We people, we humans, those that would be enjoying nature and the beauty that is ocean. And so there's a lot more people that are going to enjoy a beach during the day than at night.
That's right. So we'll have these guys come out in the night. That's right. Well, one of the problems is artificial light.
Yes.
Messes this up.
Yes.
Because they start to go towards the light of the big condo. Right?
Yeah.
And they're getting further from the water.
Right.
And they're tiny.
Right.
So now they're going to dehydrate and die on the shore because they can't get to the water. They thought they were going the right way, and now they can't. Or something's going to get them.
Right.
That was already waiting for them. So, because they're now endangered, there's lots of rules on the beaches about artificial lighting.
Yes.
And I guess in my mind, even knowing that was the case, I thought that meant, spotlights, outdoor lights.
I did too.
Oh, no.
No.
That's not just your outdoor lights. That's all lighting.
That's your television that's shining through.
I had no idea.
Your oceanfront condo. Yeah. So I've rented places before that had a house rule, I'm putting in quotes, to shut off exterior lights by 10 p.m.
Okay.
Sometimes even earlier, like 9 p.m. But I have stayed in places where, that is highlighted, starred, exclamation point.
Interesting.
And I was just always thinking, oh, I guess that's nice for the turtles. I didn't realize how life critical
it was.
It
for
truly
them.
was.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend that lives on that Edisto Island, and he told me, that they're real mindful with their exterior lights. But he was like, I didn't realize even the interior lights. Like, if you don't have your curtains pulled, he said, I've gotten a knock on the door, by the patrol. That said, you've got to close the curtains. You can't have your curtains open now.
Whoa.
Past whatever the time is. So it is interesting that there's so much effort put into this to protect this species so that we continue to have them.
Right.
And so
if you're looking at oceanfront property and you are a patio dweller, just know from May to October,
you better have some drapery.
There's going to be some life changes in your world if you're not, looking for trouble and looking for a patrolman knocking on the door.
And it's interesting, too, if you live in these areas, you're like, well, yeah, people do that. But, never lived on the beach. So there's even a lot of organizations where you can take an hour, you volunteer to walk from here to here.
Yes.
For an hour. And if you see any sign of a nest or anything, you're to report so they can block it off. And, it takes a village to do
It does. It does. And in fact, there's some that are a little hyper in terms of not wanting you to post a picture on social media that you found it, because people are people.
Yeah.
And they're
go to dig
horrible. Yes. They're curious and they want to see the hatchlings. And
interesting.
And so there's a lot of organizations that I saw and just looking stuff up that are like, please don't post it. Please just email us, because people, even if you're posting it, that know the vicinity can sometimes tell. They might know that block of condos or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they start digging on their own. And so, it's a big deal, very big deal on how it gets reported. And like you were saying, to, ensure the survival of the eggs. I know North Myrtle Beach, all the way to Hilton Head Island. They walk the beaches at dawn. Every morning. They're looking for the sea turtles or footprints, right?
Oh.
They're looking for footprints.
That's so funny. You'd see like how they're little,
right?
What do you call those? Their little feet.
Their little webbed feet. Yeah. Because that's again, they got to get out there at dawn to make sure other foot traffic hasn't already covered that up. So they're looking for that untouched sand that they can detect that. And then getting it roped off and covered with fencing to keep getting from trampled. And that's the other thing, is you might very unknowingly be trampling something that you weren't
for sure
trying to be an offender or...
That's right. I can see me being like, look at this big hole. Let's build a sandcastle here. We've already got a moat.
Seriously, exactly. Yeah, I know. It sounds silly, but just not knowing can cause some real big problems. So yes, the dawn volunteers are needed and are out there for sure. But the other thing that is hazardous for these hatchlings and these turtles is the just unintended capture in like fishing gear.
Yes.
And so, and I say
Yes.
unintentional because I really do,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
is.
there's not nets that people are out, but there's a lot that just gets discarded or, you know, unintentionally falls off a boat or rips off from from equipment. And so that can cause drowning or injuries that lead to, you know, their eventual death. But, you know, they can swallow hooks and there's just a
Plastic.
lot of,
I'm sure
I guess
plastic is a danger too.
yeah, I
Now
guess
that
there's an
there's more
actual,
of that.
the term for unintended capture is bycatch. I wasn't familiar with the word
me either.
bycatch, but that's what it is. But I wanted to share too that there is a recent good news story that came out of Folly Beach, South Carolina. And if you are really into this, I would encourage you, if you're on Facebook, to check out the Folly Beach Turtle Watch program on Facebook. So you
Aw.
can, I'll link to it, but you can search for Folly Turtles. But they had a recent story. So in the first month of the 2022 season, so that's May, they had a total of 18 nests that they were watching in the Folly Beach
Just
area.
in Folly. Okay.
Now, listen to this. So that was 2022. In 2021, in May, they had 10 nests. In 2020, they had 9 nests. So we're off
on
to a
the
promising
increase.
start
Good.
because we are nowhere near the pace that was 2019.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
2020 was hard on turtles too, y'all. I'm not saying they had COVID, but the pandemic hit all of us hard. But the South Carolina Aquarium, which is there in Charleston near Folly Beach, they had their first public turtle release in the past
So
2 years at the county
cute.
park. Right at the end of May, they had 6 turtles that were released, 3 loggerheads and 3 Kemp's Ridleys. I don't know much about that species, but I'm going to focus on the loggerheads. They were Moonstone, who was injured by 2 stingray barbs. Sunstone, whose front left flipper was bitten off by a shark.
Flipper is the word I was looking
Yes,
for.
flipper. Hello. Yeah, Sunstone had a front left flipper that was bitten off by a shark.
Oh.
And Citrine, who was suffering from debilitated turtle syndrome.
Don't know what
Don't
that
know
is.
what that is. Anyway, they were all of those loggerheads, the 6 total turtles, they were released back into the water. There was a big turnout for the
How
release. The community
cute.
came out to cheer on them getting back into the water. So
That
if you
is
want to
precious.
follow along that story, it looks really sweet.
Well, did you know the Loggerhead Sea Turtle is the official state reptile of South Carolina?
No, I did not. Makes
And it's
sense.
also the state saltwater reptile of Florida. So
Okay.
they're making their mark on.
Because I guess the reptile of Florida would be the gator. Yes. I'll take a turtle.
Well, I wanted to mention some media because
Okay.
if this is interesting to you, I've got more.
Okay.
So, for one, there is a movie called Turtle, The Incredible Journey that I have not seen.
Okay.
I didn't have access to it. I was looking up, where you could get it. But that is a movie that's specifically about loggerheads. There's a movie called an IMAX movie called Turtle Odyssey. It's about the green sea turtle,
Okay.
but similar kind of concept. And then I watched the cutest movie. I've now watched it twice with my nephew, who's 4. It says it's 7+ on the age for it, and there was a couple of things that I was like, "Oh, that is a little bit older than 4, but not like inappropriate."
Right.
It's called A Turtle's Tale, and so it's about this green sea turtle named Sammy.
Oh, is it a cartoon?
It's cartoon.
Okay.
It is so stinking cute.
Aw.
Okay. And so it addresses a lot of these issues like, oil spills and predators in the water and just all of the things. But
Yeah.
it's really sweet because you see him as a hatchling. He has a hard time getting out of the
Out of the
little
hole.
hole.
Yeah.
But he finally does. That's a whole journey. But he finally gets into the water, and then it shows him as a grandfather
Oh my gosh.
turtle, like at the,
Did you cry?
I teared up. I did. It's
I
the
would.
cutest little movie. Anyway, A Turtle's Tale. And then I also wanted to mention, if you're like a total science nerd, and yes, I may have watched a show called The Great Migration on National Geographic. Not about loggerheads, but just about migration in general. So they go into monarch butterflies and red crabs, and all of that is so fascinating to me.
Wow.
How just migration, how God set all of that up for our world to work.
That's so good.
In his ecosystem.
That's so good. I love that.
Anyhow,
those are fun.
There's some media for you.
Check some of those out. Well, if you are vacationing, you have been warned. You may see some house rules posted in your property that you're
careful with your flashlights on the beach at night.
That's right.
You don't know what you're going to mess up.
Yeah. But if you are wanting to get close and do it the right way, check out with the nearby rangers or
what they're doing and
ocean organizations and see if anybody does take a walk or wants to show you where these hatchlings might be. So, well, we have I think we've got one more episode before we take our summer break.
Yes.
And so we'll be back with you guys next week for another great episode on Southern culture. But until then, Lainey, peace be with you.
And also with y'all.